You're not broke because you're bad with money. You're broke because housing was turned into a weapon. They told you it's just supply and demand, that prices rise naturally, that no one is in control. That's a lie. And once you see what's really happening, you can't unsee it. Housing isn't expensive by accident. It's expensive because a financial machine was built to keep you renting. In 2008, the global financial system almost collapsed. Banks were supposed to fail. Home prices were supposed to crash. Debt was supposed to be wiped out. That's how capitalism is supposed to work. Instead, governments bailed out the banks. Central banks printed trillions. Interest rates were pushed near zero. And something massive changed quietly. Homes stopped being places to live. They became financial assets. Before 2010, most homes were owned by the people who lived in them. After 2010, a new buyer entered the market. Not families, not first-time buyers, funds. BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, private equity, real estate investment trusts. Institutions with unlimited access to cheap money. They don't save for down payments. They don't wait for mortgage approval. They borrow at near zero rates. So when they bid on a home, they outbid you every time. Not because they're smarter, not because they work harder, but because the system feeds them money first. Here's the first mechanism. When central banks cut interest rates, it doesn't help you first. It helps asset owners first. Banks get cheap funding. Funds get cheap leverage. Institutions get cheap debt. They use that money to buy assets, stocks, bonds, and increasingly homes. Every time rates go down, asset prices go up. That's not theory. That's math. So while you're saving in dollars, the dollar is being diluted. Your savings lose purchasing power. Their assets gain purchasing power. You fall behind. They move ahead. That's the engine. Now the second mechanism. After 2008, regulators claimed they were making housing safer. What they actually did was make small landlords disappear. Compliance costs exploded. Legal complexity skyrocketed. Reporting rules multiplied. Someone owning 2 rental properties couldn't survive. Large corporations could. So millions of small landlords sold. Institutions bought. Housing ownership consolidated. Just like banks, just like airlines, just like media. And when ownership concentrates, prices stop being set by local wages. They're set by global capital. Your salary isn't competing with your neighbor anymore. It's competing with pension funds managing trillions. You're bidding on shelter against retirement systems. You never had a chance. Now the third mechanism, rent isn't priced by what people can afford. It's priced by what maximizes yield. Algorithms analyze local incomes, migration patterns, vacancy rates, eviction data. They raise rent. If some leave but profits rise, they raise it again. This isn't housing, it's yield extraction. You're not a tenant, you're a cash flow stream. Now connect the loop. Central banks create cheap money. Institutions receive it first. They buy homes, they raise rents, you pay more. You can't save, you can't buy. That isn't a failure, that's the design. And here's where it gets darker. The system doesn't want you to own, because ownership creates independence. Independent people can quit bad jobs, reject bad wages, survive recessions. Renters can't. Renters need income every month. That makes renters obedient. So the economy quietly shifted from ownership capitalism to subscription capitalism. You don't own music. You don't own software. You don't own movies. You don't own cars. And increasingly, you don't own housing. Everything becomes a monthly payment. Monthly payments create permanent dependency. Permanent dependency creates predictable profits. That's the real business model. Now zoom out. Why do governments allow this? Because rising home prices look like prosperity. Homeowners feel richer. Stock markets rise. Retirement accounts look healthy. Politicians point to growth. But it isn't real growth. It's asset inflation. No productivity boom. No technological miracle. Just higher prices on the same assets. It's cannibalism, disguised as growth. And it only works while people can still make payments. Household debt near records, credit cards exploding, delinquencies rising, savings collapsing. The system is squeezing the last drops. Most people think a housing crash will save them. It won't. Because if prices fall, central banks will cut rates, print money, bail out institutions again. Homes get cheaper for a moment. Institutions buy them. Again, you get locked out. Again. Crashes don't reset the game. They transfer more ownership upward. Every cycle. So what does this mean for you? Waiting for the system to fix itself is a losing strategy. Playing by old rules guarantees you lose. The real divide isn't rich versus poor. It's asset owners versus non-owners. And the system is designed to push you into the second group. On purpose. They didn't forget to make housing affordable. They engineered a system where it never becomes affordable again. Not because they hate you, not because of a secret cabal, but because permanent renters are more profitable than homeowners. And if you want to learn how people actually escape this trap, follow this channel. Because once you understand how the machine works, you stop waiting for permission, and you start looking for exits.